Okay, welcome to the Vulnerability School podcast. We have Shae Sweatfield.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And she is so amazing. And I'm so excited to have her on. And a little backstory. Well, first off, I've talked a ton about my OCD on the podcast.
Yes.
And I've been working with Shae to heal my OCD naturally. And I really don't want to get on medication. I don't want to get on Adderall to help me focus. I want to be able to like naturally be more in tune with my body and heal my OCD. So I've been working with her.
You sent me a voice memo. I think one time you're like, my name's Jenna. And my friends went to your retreat or something. And
Okay. And then you do your river plunges, and then
Yes.
I think I just kept seeing them, and I was like, I want to go to that. I do remember that you came up for me so many times. Like, I never heard your name, and then all of a sudden I heard your name like literally like 3 times in a row in 1 week, like from 3 different people, and it was so weird. And so then I was like, well, I have to go to a river plunge, and then like a river ceremony.
Yeah.
And then I think I went. I think that's how we met.
That's how we met. And then I remember being like, oh my gosh, Jenna messaged me, like Jenna Jarvis. Like, I'm so excited.
Which is so funny because I'm like, what?
That was so awesome.
Yeah. And then I started going to your ceremonies, and like they're just so amazing. And I feel like anyone that has had foot zoning by you is just like their life has changed.
Oh, thank you. I love foot zoning.
Yeah. And
Yes.
it's like, it's definitely your strength. And you really just have like so many spiritual gifts. And like, I feel like anything you tell me, I'm like, it's scripture. And
Thank you.
But I want you to just like start off sharing with us how you got into foot zoning and like your experience with Lyme disease and all of that. And then I got a foot zone today for the first time. So we're going to talk about that. And then I feel like we can just talk about more healing and all of that.
Yeah.
But yes.
So I used to be really, really sick. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was running track in college. I felt amazing. I was running my fastest times. I was working out 6 days a week, all that stuff. And then overnight, I just like woke up one morning and I was like, I'm so sick. Like I literally thought I had cancer. Like it wasn't like flu sick. It was just a different sick. I was like, something's seriously wrong with me. And so I remember calling the doctor that worked with the track team. And I was like, can I get blood work done? Like something's just wrong with me. And he was like, sure, come in. So he did my blood work and he's like, oh, you have mono. And I was like, oh my gosh, I knew something was wrong. Like, okay, I just have mono. Like I can be over it in a few months and I'll be feeling better. And then months and months and months started to go by and I started to get worse.
Wait, what were your symptoms?
So I had like severe brain fog. I had like severe fatigue. I was losing my hair. My skin was super broke out.
And this just came randomly?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I believe with illness is I believe triggers can put you into illnesses like cancer, autoimmune, all sorts of things. A lot of doctors will talk about triggers like high stress moments that can put our bodies into illness.
Okay.
And I believe that's what happened to me because I got back with my ex who I knew wasn't good for me. And I'd already had a witness that I wasn't supposed to be with him. And when I got back with him that same week, I got sick.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I think it was because I denied my spirit.
Yeah.
And I think when we deny our spirit, we aren't in alignment, divine alignment, right? We talk about that. We aren't in alignment. And so we hurt our immune systems.
Yeah.
In a sense. So anyways, so for months, so just so many symptoms. I mean, I had UTIs every single week. I had rashes. If you see old pictures of me with my skin, I had those white spots all over my skin, everywhere. Oh my gosh, it's hard for me to remember because just so many things with my liver, my hormones. Oh, I got diagnosed with PCOS and endometriosis.
Is this all in the same time?
This is all around the same time. So for months and months and months, I just wasn't feeling good. And then my mom took me to a specialist and they actually did a Lyme disease test on me. It's called the Western blot test. And for most people, it's not very accurate. They won't test positive for Lyme, but I actually did. And so my mom was just like, oh my gosh, how can I help you? My mom is super smart. She can study for hours. She just has that gift. And so right when I told my mom and dad I didn't feel good, they knew it was serious because track was my baby. It was like my everything. Like they knew I wanted to succeed in it. And so if I stopped running, they were like, okay, something's seriously wrong.
Yeah.
And so she started studying like nonstop and found all these doctors and these things to start helping me. And it was really cool. But yeah, I don't know if that answers all the way. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into foot zoning. So my mom would hire this guy that would come to my house and he would foot zone me. And he would literally say exactly like what my blood work said.
Wait, what did you think about that though? Were you like about foot zoning?
I was so sick. I was desperate for anything.
Okay.
Like to me, it made sense to me because I understood like reflexology and I understood like massage. And I knew that working through different acupressure points can help your body. It's very similar to acupuncture, except it's acupressure. And so I was like, okay. So I just sat there and he was like this old guy. He was like 60 or 70, literally came into my house. He had like a leather pouch bag on, like just super, hippie. And he like sat down and he's like, you have this and this and this and this and this and this. And I'm like, yes, that's what my doctor just told me. And then I would feel tanked after foot zones. Like literally I was like, cause I was so sick and I had so many poisons in my body and toxins. Cause when Lyme's in your body, it's a bacteria. So you're like filled with poison. I would just be so tired. But after I kept getting consistent on my zones, I was like, I'm getting better. I'm getting healthier. And it gave me hope because I would like wake up and go to the bathroom and I would have blood in my urine. Like I would have a UTI. Wow. And I'm like, I can't do antibiotics again. Like they're ruining my health. They're ruining my life. Like they make you so sick. And I was like, what can I do? Like, and the doctors, they don't, if you go to the emergency room, it's just like antibiotics. It's just like the same old thing. And I felt like if I got a UTI or something, he could come over and he could clear it through my urinary tract and my kidneys and my bladder. And he'd work on those points and then I would feel better.
That's crazy.
And it was a big deal for me.
Wait, were you into any of like this holistic stuff before?
No.
Okay.
And me and my family were asleep.
Okay.
Sleep, like dead asleep.
Okay.
Like I ate McDonald's every single day. Like literally, I'm not joking you. I would not date guys that ate healthy because I thought it was so feminine.
So funny.
No, I'm serious. Like if there was a guy like trying to eat healthy, I was like, oh my gosh, you have body image issues. Like I cannot date you. Like that is so weird. Because I just, after track, I wanted to eat Big Macs, Domino's. I just was like, because I had always been in shape.
Yeah.
And so I think something sad in our culture is like, if you're in shape, it's like, well, eat whatever you want. But then if you're fat, it's like, you need to go on a diet.
Yep.
When actually we should just be eating good for our health because our body's a temple, right? So we should be like caring for it. That wasn't me because I was in great shape. So I was like, I'm going to eat what tastes good. And so just to sleep, like we had always used Western medicine whenever. And I think there's a purpose for Western and Eastern, but we didn't know. Like all of high school I was on an antibiotic because I had acne. Obviously I had gut issues, but I didn't know that. So it was just antibiotic after antibiotic. And I think eventually so many things broke my body down. And then when I had that trauma where I kind of denied what I already knew, it just shut me down completely. It didn't help that at that time I was training. I was in finals for college, and during finals is conference for track. So kind of like finals as well. And so I was training and studying like crazy. So my stress is already high. I got back with someone I knew I shouldn't. I'm eating like crap. And then, yeah, that's kind of how it happened. But I was not awake to this stuff. This stuff was so hard for me to learn. And with that question, I just have to say that being a D1 athlete, I kind of had like this ego of, well, I'm in amazing shape. I can run this fast. Most of America isn't in this shape. They're not running this many miles a day. So I don't need to eat good, change my lifestyle. Because if anyone can heal, it's going to be me.
Yeah. Because
I'm 21 years old and I'm in amazing shape. So I don't need to do anything the doctors are saying because I'm going to get better. So false. So false, because in order to heal, we really do have to change our lifestyles. We have to get a new lifestyle. Acceptance of that was so hard for me. I wanted to just believe I could still eat McDonald's every day, Domino's every day. I could still drink caffeine. I could still do all of these things that I knew were hurting my body and that I would be 100% delivered and feel 100% better. It was so hard for me to accept that I actually really had to change. Which is so silly, but it really was.
Yeah. And that's so crazy to see you now because I'm like, what? That doesn't even exist, you know?
That's funny.
So was your mental health like really, really bad too at this point?
My mental health got bad for my physical health, which I think happens to a lot of people. I think when you physically feel ill for so long, you're like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like I did feel suicidal because I was like, I can't wake up the pain of UTIs, like for girls that have had them, having one every week, you guys, it's just so miserable. And the brain fog that I had and the rashes that I had and just how skinny
Especially
I was.
because like growing up, you didn't have any of these issues, right?
No, I was just like so athletic. I played soccer my whole life and all the things. Like I felt amazing my whole life. And it really was like overnight I got sick and then it just lasted. So my mental health, so I did start feeling suicidal and I did start feeling, but it was after years of like feeling the same. I was like, I can't keep doing this.
So how long did like this intense period of like Lyme disease last?
Probably like 6, almost 7 years.
Wow.
Yes. And I was like deathly ill the first 3 years, like no quality of life. Like I had to like stop running track. All of my friends were still running. My best girlfriends, I ran for 3 years in college. So we had already ran for 3 years. It was like my dream, my life. I had to like step away from that. And then I couldn't focus in school. I couldn't read. Like it was so hard for me to remember. So then I had to step away from that. So I had to move back into my parents' house and they live in Ogden, so an hour away. And I just felt like I lost everything. And then I also felt like I couldn't date because I'm like, well, who would want, I felt like a burden. Yeah. I think a lot of people when they're going through trials, I'm like, well, who would want to date me? Like I can't work. I can't make money. I don't ever feel good.
Yeah.
I can't eat like anything. It makes me sick. So if they want to go out to ice cream or take me to pizza or whatever. And then I was like, and let alone me being a mom, I'm never going to be a mom. Like I'm so sick. There's no way I can have a baby.
Yeah.
And so I was so shut off. And those type of things, believing you can't be an equal partner to someone because you're so sick, let alone get married, let alone have kids. I was completely mentally in a horrible space.
Okay, so when did you start seeing Diane, your therapist?
When I was 24.
Okay.
So I went through a breakup.
So you got diagnosed at 21 with Lyme disease and then, you didn't go to her until you're 24. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't go to her until I was 24.
Did you go to any therapist?
No.
Wow.
No, I didn't go. My mom took me to a psychologist or it was a psychiatrist or something. They were at a treatment center that I went to. Treatment as in like IVs and healing work. It was in Idaho. And the guy like sat me down and he was like, do you remember what it's like to feel good? And I'm like, no, I have no idea what it's like to feel good. And he's like, well, until you can remember what it's like to feel good, you can't recreate that feeling in your body. So he'd have me like sit there with him and I would have to sit there and go back to places and times that I felt good and try to recreate the feeling in my body, which is actually really smart because I think people that are depressed, they don't remember what it's like to be happy, or people that are anxious, they don't remember peace.
Yeah.
And I think if we can try to recreate those feelings in our body remembers.
Yeah.
But that was like the only thing I did, a few sessions with him, and then that was it.
And then why did you start going to Diane? Was it so bad or like?
No, I started going to Diane because I went through a breakup that was really hard for me. And I was at school. I was actually going to school for marriage and family therapy. That's what I got my undergrad in, is behavioral science and marriage and family therapy. I went to UVU. So I stopped school. And then when I started feeling a little bit better, I'd go to school and I'd like sit in the back of a class and I just looked like hell. I think I weighed like 90 something pounds. My skin had cystic acne all over my skin, little bit of hair. Like I didn't even look like me anymore.
Wait, so did you start eating healthy and stuff yet or no? I
guess I'm pretty stubborn because I still was like, I can get better without eating good.
Yeah.
So my mom was a gem. My mom would meal prep, like literally gluten-free, dairy-free, all organic food. And she would drive down to my house once a week in coolers. And she would have, my mom's a fabulous cook, and she would have all this food for me. But it's sad. Like just like babies, our taste buds, like a baby, you can give them sugar and they like love it. But then when you give them something healthy, their palate is used to sugar. I think my palate was so used to junk food.
Yeah.
I sound like the biggest brat, but when my mom would make me these really healthy meals, I was like, this doesn't taste good to me. And I was in such a bad space that all I wanted was comfort food because it was the only thing that made me happy. And then I had gone through a breakup and he actually like did not know what I had. I was embarrassed. I think when you get diagnosed with a disease, you're like, something's wrong with me. I'm going to be a burden. And this is going to be really hard for someone, especially like now people have autoimmune and like all this stuff. And we talk about it like vulnerability is cool and people are being open and it's like, we can be who we are. For some reason, when I was 21, that feels like 20 years ago, even though it was like 9 years ago, getting diagnosed with Lyme disease was like hush hush. It was really weird. So,
and I feel like Lyme disease is hard because I feel like some doctors are like, oh, it's not even a thing, or like it is, or like it's just, it's,
they didn't really believe in it, and they didn't know a lot about it. And so that was hard for me too, because I was like, well, I don't want to claim to have something.
Yeah.
Also, my mom was really big on not taking on labels, because she was like, why don't you just see it as like, these are my symptoms, instead of saying I have this disease.
Okay.
She's like, I feel like that's going to stop you from healing, which was actually pretty true, because when I've met people that I know in my journey that have had Lyme, that they put it on like their Instagram, like Lyme disease, this, that, and the other, I never see them get better, because it becomes their identity.
Yeah.
And I was trying so hard to not have it become my identity. So anyways, the guy that I was dating at the time, when we broke up and I started seeing Diane, I was with him for 2 years, and I wasn't very open about what I had, but his dad could tell that I did not feel good. And so one day his dad was like, you're sitting down with her, and like, she needs to tell you what she has. Like, what if she has cancer? Like, we just need to know what she has, you know? I remember like his son sat me down and was like, what's going on with you? Like, I know you don't feel good. Like, you tell me all the time that you don't feel good and like what your symptoms are. He's like, but you actually have like a disease. And I was like, yeah, I have Lyme disease. And I felt like I was like
this
literally
makes me so sad.
So dirty or something.
Yeah.
Like, I literally was like, I'm so sorry, something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's so hard with being an athlete, like, and in this culture, like, everything's about being perfect. You know how I feel about that? Like, we can't have any wrinkles, and we can't have any fat, and we got to be these amazing athletes, and then we got to do amazing in school. And if you don't do well in school, then you're stupid, and all this stuff. And so then I was like, I felt like I have a disease, like something's wrong with me. And I was so embarrassed to tell him. I just thought he maybe wouldn't want to do his life with me.
Yeah.
Which he actually handled it really well. But we ended up breaking up, and I was in school, because I was going to school to be a therapist. And there was this guy in my class that I loved. He was like in his 40s or 50s, and he was so hilarious and just so much fun. His daughter had died of cancer, and I would like sit in the back and not talk to anyone. Not the Shae you know today. Just like, I was literally I don't know. I just had so much darkness affecting me, and I was just so depressed. And he like came up to me, and he's like, you are like literally not okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm not okay. And he's like, you need help. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, I'm sick. I was like, that's just what's wrong, is like, I'm sick. And he's like, no, you need therapy. And I was like, I'm just like, I'm sick. Like, I have Lyme disease. And he's like, no, I don't care. He's like, you need therapy. So he's like, I'm going to give you my therapist's number. And he's like, and promise me right now you'll go. And then I went to Diane.
Wow.
When I was 24. And it did help me so much in my healing, because I didn't understand how tied both of those worlds were. I was just focused on the physical, not the mental. And I really needed both to help myself heal.
Yeah. That's so funny, because we're so switched, you know? And now I'm like learning more about
because
this.
what you struggle with, you want to just focus on that.
Yeah.
So if it's mental, you're like, what are all the mental health things? And if it's physical, it's like, what are all the physical things? But like I always say, like, I'm such a believer, we heal mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, but we can get caught in a realm too long. Mm-hmm. And we need to work on the 4 realms to become whole.
I love that.
And Diane really helped me with the mental, emotional, and she's also very spiritual.
And is she just a hypnotherapist, or does she do like everything kind of?
I don't know. I feel like she does everything. I don't know her exact title. I do know she does hypnotherapy.
Okay. And we just did a meditation in your women's group, and it was literally crazy.
She's amazing.
Like, it was crazy. Like, I felt like I was doing breath work, and it was like a 10-minute meditation or something.
She goes so deep. She is literally a phenomenal therapist. She has truly helped me change my life.
That's so cool.
Like, so much. I love her. And I went so consistently to her.
Do you still go to her?
Not as much now. Like, that sounds bad when I say I don't feel like I need therapy. I think we all need to keep working on ourselves, but I
think you really do kind of become your own therapist in a way.
Yeah.
You know, because you're able to, you have your coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Like, you know the way to not fix yourself, but I don't know.
Exactly. I feel like she's given me enough tools. Like, if I really need her, I'll call her. But I went to her every week for years. Like, I had a ton of work to do. Like, I sat in her office, and you know how we talk about belief systems. Jenna's in my women's group. Mm-hmm. So, but anyways, we talk about belief systems. I didn't even know what those were. Like, she was like, so your performance creates your value. And I'm like, yes, I feel that way. She's like, that's not good. I'm like, what? You know, like, I was such a beginner to all of this stuff.
Yeah. That's so crazy.
Yeah. So
wow. Okay. That's so cool though. I think that's so awesome. She is so powerful.
She believes in foot zoning. So Diane would also have me come to her house and have her foot zoner see me, because he got rid of cancer in her friends through breaking it apart. And he also helped Diane when she was bedridden from an issue that happened with her stomach, and he helped her attend. So she was like a huge believer in foot zoning as well. And so she knew I didn't feel good. So she'd be like, my foot zoner is coming to my house, come over, you can be in my office and get foot zoned, and then I'll go after you or whatever.
Wow.
So I was getting foot zoned there as well. So it kept showing up in my life.
So when all this is happening, is your family kind of shocked because they've never really like done this kind of work before? Like, did they think it was like so woo woo, or like?
I think it testified to my mom that it was true, but like my mom was like, why the hell did I vaccinate my kids? Like just like starting at age, like infants, she felt so bad. Like I literally think as a mom, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was feeding my kids this. I didn't know I was doing this. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I put you on antibiotics all of these times for your skin.
Yeah.
Like, I think my mom just like, she had an awakening and she was like, are you kidding me? Like she felt so bad. But then like her mama bear kicked in and she was like, I will literally do anything to help you feel better. And I've been so blessed in my family, because I think my mom and dad talk about this all the time. They feel so bad for kids whose parents don't believe them. Like they're like, you're fine.
Yeah.
Like your stomach just hurts. You're fine. Like when literally I called my parents and was like, I'm sick. I don't feel good. They were like, oh my gosh, she doesn't feel good. Like we will do anything to have our child feel good. And that was huge.
Yeah. That's so cool.
So yeah, just a total shock for all of us. Like my mom having to learn how to cook like that. I didn't have the energy. And that's why I was so blessed, because some people, they get sick and then they're like, when I'm sick, when you have the flu, when you're sick, anything, do you want to get up and do an amazing meal that's healthy?
Yeah, no.
Like that's why I was so blessed with my mom cooking and driving the food down when I was away at college, because I could have healthy ingredients.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was.
So you're doing the foot zoning, and then you're doing therapy with Diane. And so then, and I feel like I know so many random things about your life, but then when did you start going to Mexico?
Okay. So Mexico.
And tell them about Mexico.
Yeah. So Mexico is a healing center in Tijuana, and it is literally incredible. It's called Bio Advanced Medical Clinic. And I did not want to go because I thought it was so woo-woo. How
did you even find out about it?
My mom found out about it. Word of mouth. She was like, she started hearing about all these kids my age that didn't feel good, that maybe had Lyme or lupus or autoimmune conditions. And my mom was desperate. I was doing ozone in the States. Ozone's an IV. Okay. You can get ozone therapy. It's for bacteria and viruses and fungus and all of this stuff. They do it a lot for Lyme disease. And I just was getting like 3 days a week, 5 days a week sometimes. And I just was so sick. And so finally I was like, I'm done getting treatment. I was like, Mom and Dad, I love you so much. Like, thank you so much. And most treatment is out of pocket. Insurance doesn't cover treatments for Lyme disease because, like you said, a lot of doctors don't know how they feel about it. And so I was like, I love you guys so much. I'm ready to die. I was like, I just want to go to the other side.
Did you actually think you were going to die? Wow.
Oh, I 100% thought I was going to die. Yes, 100%. And I was like,
so were you still dating this guy at the time?
When I first started going to Mexico?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
When I first started going to Mexico.
And you thought you were going to die?
Yes.
Wow.
I was like, there's no way I'm going to live. I'm getting skinnier every month. My kidneys aren't functioning well. Like,
and were you like just mad at God at this time too?
I was yes. When I first got sick, I was mad at God. I didn't understand. I was like, what? And I also was like, this sounds so bad, but I was like, why didn't you give me cancer? Like I would have died fast.
Yeah.
I felt like I got a slow poison that lasted for years and I thought it was still going to kill me. And the doctors are like, you'll be in a wheelchair. Like, this is what happens with Lyme disease. This is the progression of Lyme disease. So I'm like, what do I have to look forward to? And when you have nothing to look forward to, it's so hard on you.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm done getting treatments, Mom and Dad. I love you so much. I'm ready to go to the other side. I have no quality of life. I'm so sick. I lay in bed all day. I don't do anything. I can't think. I don't look like myself. I'm ill. Like, if you don't have quality of life, you don't feel like you can do your mission. I couldn't serve anyone. I was like, what's my purpose? So I was like, okay, I guess I'm just supposed to die and then I'll do my purpose on the other side. Yeah. Like I was so ill that I was so accepting of that. And so some nights I would literally pray like to just wake up on the other side. And then I'd wake up and I'm like, what do you want me to do, God? Like, I can't do anything. Like, I'm so suffering. So my mom, when I stopped getting treatments, it broke her heart, you know? And so she started asking around her and my dad, like, what can we do to help our daughter?
So then when you stopped getting treatments, you were just getting worse and worse and worse. Okay. And
they're like, what can we do to help our daughter? And then they heard about Mexico. And so Mexico is in Tijuana Bio Advanced Medical Clinic, and they treat Lyme disease. They also treat 1,000,005 other issues that you could have going on. And I just remember going there, and there was...
Were you resistant to it, or were you...
I was really nervous because I'm like, this is so weird. Like, this seems dirty. Like, this doesn't seem good. But my mom was like, we'll take you there. And if you don't want to get treatment and if you don't feel safe, then you can just come home. And I was like, okay. And then I went there, and there was a guy there. I don't know if he was a quorum of the 70. I can't remember, but he was there with his grandson that had diabetes, the type of diabetes that they say can't heal. And they were giving him stem cell in his pancreas, and he healed his diabetes. So they were like telling me that story. And then I was meeting other people, and they're like, everyone was just acting like, oh yeah, you'll get better. I got better here. Like, from all these diseases that you never hear about people healing from.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, this is so crazy. So then he was like, can I give you a blessing? And I was like, sure. And he took me back into this room, and he gave me a blessing and told me that this is a place that I would have healing.
Whoa. And
so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. When I got that blessing, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to heal here.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did, because when I first got treatment there and I went home, I was so sick, because you can get really sick from detoxing. And I think if I wouldn't have had that hope that I was going to get better there, it'd have been like, this place made me worse.
Yeah, totally.
But in reality, as I stayed consistent on it, I got better and better and better, to all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a normal person.
Wow.
I feel good. But I do relate a lot of that to this clinic, but also at that time I had accepted that I had an illness. So I changed my eating, which was huge.
Yeah.
So I finally was like, I guess because I'm young, I need to eat good to heal. Like, I'm not just going to heal just because I'm young. So that was part of it. I think food and going there and beliefs. When we talk about belief systems, the doctor literally looked me in the face, the cutest guy ever. Everyone that goes there loves him. He's literally a sweetie. Him and his 2 sons work there. Might be 3 sons. I don't know. And then a couple other people. He was like, oh, you can get better. You can heal. And having a doctor look you in the face when other doctors have been like, this is horrible. You're not going to get better. It's going to rot your organs. It's going to rot your joints, your bones. You're going to be in a wheelchair. You're going to get so sick. And he's like, oh, no, sweetie, we got this. You'll be better. I believed him.
Yeah.
And I think all these things added up to helping me heal.
So after that first even like time that you went there, did you feel way better?
No, I felt way worse.
Oh, okay.
Because I was detoxing.
Oh, okay.
And then as I had to go every 3 months for the first like 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And then I started feeling a lot better.
Wow. And then, wait, so do you still have Lyme disease or?
No, I'm in remission.
Okay.
So they can test you and see if it comes up in your blood. So for me, they don't see it anymore. Like, I'm in remission.
Wow. That's
which is
so
huge.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I don't feel like I really hear about that. Like someone healing from it.
No. And people in the States don't believe that they can heal from it.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool.
It really was so cool. Yeah.
Okay. So then from here, how did you get into foot zoning?
So then once I got better, I was like, I felt better.
Could you even like, were you just so shocked with everything that you just were healing and everything? Cause you like, totally
yes, but it was also slow. Cause you asked me how long till I started feeling better. And it was like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Cause I didn't go to that place till 2 or 3 years into me being sick.
Okay.
And so everything was like this slow climb. It wasn't like an overnight, like, oh my gosh, I feel better.
Yeah.
But I was literally shocked when I started to feel better. Yes. And then my mom was like, you'd be an incredible foot zoner. And I was like, shut up. I'm not zoning feet. I don't like feet. Anyone that knows me knows I've always had sweaty hands and feet my entire life. Like, my last name was Sweatfield. Growing up, everyone would call me sweaty. Like, I have sweaty hands, sweaty feet. So I'm like, I don't want to touch people's feet. And also I was like, I'm done with the healing world. I was like, I have sat for years of my life in my 20s in doctor's offices around sick people. I was like, get me the freak away from sick people. Yeah. I was like, I want a job that has nothing to do with health. Nothing. And I was so mad at my mom when she said that to me. I was like, how dare you? Like, you saw my 20s. Like, all I did was be around sick people.
Yeah.
And you want me to be a foot zoner and deal with sick people? I was like, dude, no. I was so mad. And then Diane, she actually was also like, foot zoning's so cool. Like, all this stuff. She didn't tell me I should be one. And then in time, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I should be a foot zoner. Like, maybe I went through all of this suffering to be compassionate and help people.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to reflexology school. I learned reflexology first. Reflexology is kind of like the beginner version of foot zoning. Foot zoning is a very advanced version. So I learned that. And then once I had already touched the feet, I almost passed out the first day I touched the feet. Couldn't stand it. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I hate this. This is disgusting. But then as I started, I was like, holy crap, I can tell what's wrong with them. Like, I can see what these points are saying. Like, I can tell. And so then I was like, well, if I already did reflexology, why not become a foot zoner and be the very best that I can?
Yeah.
And so then I went to school for that. Hardest thing ever. For me, way harder than my undergrad. So hard. I remember taking the final test. I was like crying. It was a written exam. You had to take anatomy, physiology. You had to pass everything with like a B. You had to know every acupressure point. You had to know every system of the body, every organ of the body. Not only that, the emotions behind all of them, which I think in normal school, it's just like, this is the organs. You don't have to know the emotions. So it's also the emotions, the nerves, the circulation, the thyroid, the thymus. Like, I was just like, this is incredible amount of information. And now I have to learn how to zone in a proper way to help someone heal.
Yeah.
So incredible.
One thing I want to go back to,
Yes.
and you didn't talk about this on the podcast, but we've talked about this together,
Yeah.
is that when you were experiencing all of this, like, you kind of felt dumb, like, and you had a lot of brain fog.
So stupid.
Yeah.
Legit. So stupid. I had so much brain fog to the point that I was like, if my friends get together, or if I get together with this guy that I'm dating and we go play games with their family, and someone's like, who's the president of the United States? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what if I can't remember? That's how bad my brain fog was. Like, my parents would be like, so what'd you do yesterday? And I'm like, 20 minutes. I'm like, I don't know. Just the brain fog was so severe. And that's also why I thought I was never going to continue in school. I remember when I first went back into classes after I took that break and moved in with my parents, I had a professor. He was awesome. But he would sit down with me after class and he would help me because he could tell that I was seriously struggling in school.
Yeah.
Literally, he would like be like, okay, this is how you do a format on a paper. And I'm like, I don't remember. He's like, do you remember how to format a paper? No. Do you remember the order that it goes in?
Did you feel this way growing up? Or
No, I was super smart. I graduated with like a 3.9 in high school.
Yeah.
I never had a hard time in school. College was super easy for me until I got, because my Lyme disease was neurological.
Yeah.
So it really affected my brain as well. And I literally felt like I lost all my everything. Like, reading was so hard for me. Writing things was so hard for me. Like, I literally felt like I had turned legit stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's so important because I feel so much brain fog in my life, and I have for a long time, you know, and I'm sure that's related to so many things that are going on in my body.
Yeah. But it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's related to trauma and things going on in your body. It can be viral, bacterial, all those things. And like I always tell you, I'm like, I feel bad for people that keep doing all this mental health work. And then they're like, oh, I guess I suck at mental health work because I still have brain fog. And I'm like, I know for a fact that I had bacteria, viruses, all of these things causing my brain fog. And I wasn't even doing a lot of inner work, and I got better because it was viral and bacterial. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know? And so I just feel so bad when people are like, why am I not getting better? I must not be successful. And then that hurts their self-esteem more. And I'm like, but maybe it's not mental. Maybe it's actually viral or bacterial. And that's hard for me right now in the work that we do. Yeah. Because everyone is so focused on trauma and mental health. And I'm like, but what if they just don't feel good? Yeah. Yeah. You know? Totally. They go together though.
And I think it's been so good for me because like I've gone to so much therapy, and like it's been so hard for me because like we've talked about this so much, but like OCD, and your sister has OCD, and so I feel like you understand it a lot. And she's been to the place in Mexico with you, right?
She has.
Okay.
Yes.
But I shared with you when I was on ayahuasca, I really felt so strongly like you can heal from OCD, but it was so confusing because I've had so many like therapists tell me that it's just something that you just have to live with, you know, and learn how to work with it and do exposure therapy. But then I feel like talking to you, I'm like, we've kind of like created, not really, but kind of created this plan of like healing and stuff. So I feel like we should kind of just go into like my foot zone today.
Yeah. I love it.
I have done foot zoning once.
Oh, you
but
have?
it was
Okay.
with someone that was in training. So, and she
it's
didn't really
different.
share anything with me.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. I wish I get that all the time when people are like, I got foot zoning done and the person didn't say anything to me. And I'm like, what?
Okay. I'm like a little emotional today because it was a lot.
it.
But so one of my takeaways is I kept saying this to you, like going into the foot zone, I just had OCD thoughts creeping in. Like maybe I need to tell Shae this before I get into the foot zone. Maybe, or like I did this thing last week or I said this thing and maybe it's going to affect my foot zone. And then when we were in there and you were like zoning my feet, I was like, oh shit, like I don't have control over this. Like I can think whatever I want, but she is listening to and working with my body.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I was like, okay, I think I actually need this, you know?
Yeah.
So it was really powerful. And like, I just felt like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it was kind of confusing for me because I didn't think it'd be that impactful. Like, and also you shared so many insights with me that it was like all about my physical body, but also like mentally, like, and all the things I was deficient in. And so, okay. Yeah. I just want to hear.
I feel like with OCD and anxiety, there's a lot of reassurance, and I'm not saying like in an insecure way, but it's like, people will be like, I'm sick. Do you think I'm okay? Do you think I'm okay?
And
Do you think I'm okay?
That's how we thrive with our OCD.
They have to get reassurance. And I feel like the reason that people with OCD and anxiety do really well with foot zones is one, it helps them, but it helps them physically and mentally, emotionally, spiritually, but also it's an analysis of your feet. So I'm literally saying to you like, no, not that area, this area. And I'm in control. Like I'm the one that has to zone your feet. I'm the one that has to do the acupressure. Like you just have to lay there and receive.
Yeah.
And no matter what you say to me in that moment or what you thought about yesterday or what you thought about last week, I don't care. I'm literally just trying to see how your kidneys feel, your brain feels, your limbic system, your amygdala, your processing, like your sensory, like all of that. And I'm trying to give you information and figure out how I can help you. And so in your session, when you kept being like, I think you were worried if you were doing something wrong. Because I think in therapy, when you sit there, you bring up to them like your problems and you talk to them.
Like
and
they're in control. We're both in control.
Yes.
Whereas in a foot zone, you're in control.
Yes, exactly. You know? Yes. We're kind of like, yes, we're working together because your body's there, but I have to complete a zone on your feet to help your health.
Which also made me think of, because you talk a lot about how sometimes practitioners have like not the best intentions or maybe weren't trained the right way. I kept thinking during the foot zone, like if she didn't have good intentions, this definitely could go a different way.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it could. And that's so hard for me to see in energy work, Reiki, foot zoning, breath work, all of these things is because when people come to you, they're broken.
Yeah.
Usually I'm not saying you're broken, but they don't feel good or something's going on.
So vulnerable. Like
they're
anything
so
you tell me, I'm like, okay.
Exactly.
You know?
They're so vulnerable. And I was that way. Like when I would get energy work or foot zoning, I was like, you trust them because they're actually finding some truths in you. And so then you listen to them. And that's why I think it's so important for me. Like, I don't want to say anything that I feel like God would not want me to say.
Yeah.
Or anything that I know would affect them negatively. I also want to help people believe that they can heal and that they can get better, and not like, yes, in zoning, it's hard because you're like, this is coming up, this is coming up, this is coming up. So they're like, oh my gosh, I have all these things wrong with me. But it's like, no, we're clearing these, we're helping these, we're sending energy to these. And this is the things that I feel like you can go home and have power to heal your body.
Yeah.
Because now you know where to start. I feel like everyone's always like, I don't feel good, but I don't know where to start. And that's why I was obsessed with foot zoning, because I'm like, oh, well, these systems seem fine and these ones seem not fine. And it can help them at least know somewhere to start versus like, I just don't feel good. No idea where to begin.
Yeah.
Oh, well, go to therapy. Yes, but no, maybe it's both.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll get a zone or something or blood work and they're like, you're good. And then it's therapy, or maybe vice versa, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to walk us through like maybe just my session today. Yeah. Like what we start with. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah. So your lymphatic system.
No.
Oh, okay.
The foot bath.
Oh yeah. Okay. So the foot bath. So I learned about those in Mexico. Ionic foot baths, they are a machine that you plug into the electricity and it sends a negative ionic charge to the array, which is what sits in the middle of it. And it pulls toxins out of your body. And it also grounds you when you're sitting there. So when God created the earth has a negative ionic charge, which is what people call earthing and grounding. So it helps us to heal naturally, helps our electrical system, helps to reset us, help us with our emotions and our physical health. Positive ions are like cell phones, Apple Watches, TV, computer, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 5G, we're always in positive ions. And so when you're in my office, I like to do like 3 things with you. I love to hook you up to a foot bath and have it start to pull toxins for you.
Which today mine was orange.
Yes.
And what does that mean?
Your joints.
Again? Okay.
Joints. Yep. So inflammation in the body. So joints is just known as any type of inflammation in the body. Can be from gluten, dairy, sugar, soy, corn, pork. The American diet can also be from working out, getting inflammation. If you have an injury or repressed emotions cause inflammation. So we start on that. I also do that because people have to drop their kids off or are coming from an appointment and I like to get them grounded.
Yeah.
And I like to just make them sit there for 30 minutes. And then, so that's what we start with. And then we go into the zone and then I do all of that on you. And then I like to end with sound to try to raise your frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it was so cool. And something, cause we've been kind of planning that I was going to come get a foot zone for a long time. And then I just never did. But one thing that came up, which was so crazy, is on the bottom right side of my foot,
Yes.
my right foot,
Yes.
it always hurts. Like when I ran a marathon, it was just hurting. Or like sometimes I'll get home from the gym and it's just like hurting. And I'm like, am I doing something wrong?
Mm-hmm.
But I want you to tell us like what came up during my foot zone today.
Okay. So everything just kind of, okay. So in your foot zone, we started with your lymphatic system, but I want to back up to that spot on your foot. So yeah, Jenna's always had a spot on her foot. She's messaged me, this spot's hurting me. I don't know what's wrong. And it was her liver point. And even more specifically, a lot to do with parasites and even mineral deficiency. And so I think that's so interesting because our body does speak to us. And like, right when I got to that point, she's like, oh my gosh, that hurts. And oh my gosh, this is where my foot always hurts me.
You had forgotten, like we didn't even talk about that spot today.
I forgot that you had a place that hurt you. So your lymphatic system was kind of backed up, but you've been pretty open about that you've been off caffeine recently. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so you've also been moving less. Yeah. Because you usually wake up early in the morning and go work out. And so movement helps clear our lymphatic system, which is like a sewage system of our body that collects, dead cells, toxins, if we eat bad, all of this stuff. And so your lymphatic system today was a little bit backed up. And I think it's because you've been doing less movement. Lymphatic systems can also get backed up emotionally. Your brain stem was struggling. And that's why I think it's so validating as well. Cause we're always like, is this all in my head? Yeah. But it's like, no, you can feel when you're doing a zone, like Jenna knows, it feels like crunchy and painful where you're having issues. Yeah. So like your brain stem, your hormones were needing a little bit of help. In her brain limbic system, which is where emotions are stored, that needed some help. Your amygdala, and then sensory. You have sensory. You've said that you're sensitive to certain noises. Yeah. Your sensory point was kind of swollen, and then your anxiety point. And so for me, when I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay, I'm so glad you've gotten off caffeine, because especially coffee, because that affects the hormones like crazy. Anyone helping with nutrition should know, and most of them do, that coffee really affects our hormones. But also your anxiety pathway, I could tell, I'm like, she needs magnesium because it shouldn't feel this way. A lot of emotional stuff in the toes. We worked on all of that. And then, your liver, you were like, I think I have parasites from my mission, or I am concerned I have parasites. Your parasite point was definitely inflamed in your foot, and your mineral point, which for me, that means you're mineral deficient. And we talked about, you don't do a lot of minerals. Yeah. People just don't know what to do. Like for me, I'm like, I think people don't start because it all seems so much. Yeah. And then you had so much clogging and like scarring in your colon and your intestines, which you're like, I've really been feeling like I need to start enemas or do something for my colon. Yeah. But I was like, Jenna, what is wrong with your intestines? But it was old. You're like, when I was little, my stomach literally severely hurt me all the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you could feel that in your feet. And then your back, we could tell that your back, you said your back has been sore. And then your kidney was actually the first color that came out in the foot bath, which our chi sits in our kidney, a lot of our energy, and your kidney was swollen when I did it on both sides. And so I'm probably forgetting some things, but
and then
your adrenals.
You could tell that I'd had like sexual trauma too.
Yes. You had a lot of scarring through where the vagina point is. And for me, when I've done that and felt that scarring on people, everyone that I felt that same scarring has had sexual trauma.
Yeah.
So for me, when I feel that on someone, I just know it's sexual scarring.
Yeah. Wait, okay. When people do have that, because we didn't talk a ton about this because we knew I was coming right back for the episode, but like, what do you recommend for girls that like do have those like sexual trauma scars?
It just depends on, like, some people have never told anyone. Like sometimes I'm the only person that knows, or they haven't acknowledged it.
Yeah.
For someone like you that's done like a lot of work, like today when that's come up, you're like, okay, what should I do? I feel like you're doing everything that you possibly can. For me, I'm like, just let me do my job and try to help clear out some of this scarring that's happened emotional, that's caused physical, actual scarring. But it just depends on where the person is. Because if they haven't even acknowledged it, if they haven't told anyone, I just kind of try to think, okay, God, like, what is the next step for this person? Everyone's so individual. Yeah. But for someone that's done a lot of work like you, I'm like, I'll just try to help you as best as I can break up the scarring that's occurred. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, what was the other parts?
Your heart. Yeah. So in foot zoning, it's also taught like where there's calluses on the feet or blisters on the feet to pay attention, because people think like, oh, it's just from my shoes. Like, unless you wore like a pair of heels and you're like, no, totally. Like, it was from that. But if you have like a callus, there's something going on with that area or something wrong. And on your foot today, you had a callus on your heart where like heartbreak is. And I've told you, I've only seen that kind of callus like one other time. I will always see a lot of inflammation in the heart, like the emotional heart, but it's just showed me like you've definitely have had your heart broke and like shattered. And we both know that you've been through a ton, and that's why you do what you do. Vulnerability is cool, but your heart has been through so much, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is something that I've brought up to you before, that like, since I was little, and I don't know if anyone can relate, message me if you can, but I like, if I would close my eyes when I was little, and it would be like this dark lava in my head. And then it would be like these lava hands. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. Or when I was in therapy and I'd do EMDR, they'd be like, okay, imagine your safe place. And I'd close my eyes and they were like, I couldn't. Like, there would always be a dark cloud in the top right corner, or it would be this like vision of this like weird lava thing. And so today I was very curious, because you're like an energy healer. I was like, I just wonder like if she feels anything. And I've just felt like this dark energy kind of in my chest. And so, yeah.
So for me, that's so interesting, because like when we talk about Diane, she's my therapist, but she works a lot with like imagining what your pain feels like. And she always says that it's like a dark cloud or darkness. In energy, I'm like a big believer that entities try to affect us, or demonic spirits. I know it sounds crazy, but I do believe that they try to affect us. And so whenever I feel like a darkness, what I do is I pray over the person. Because for me, that's my belief system and my highest power. And I think Jesus' name heals. And so I did feel that with you. I think you're very intuitive. You were feeling like you had that. And then I feel like when I prayed over you or did a lot of the energy work in Reiki, I was like, how did you feel? And you're like, so light. Like, I felt like I was physically lighter.
Yeah, I felt like I was floating.
Yeah, and floating. And that's such a good sign. And I feel like that's the hope, because I feel like any sort of darkness, whether it's an emotion or an energy or an entity or whatever it is trying to affect us, it's heavy. And we know that because we always say, I feel heavy. Or when we meet someone, we're like, that person feels heavy. Or we go to an event and we're like, that was heavy.
Yeah.
The goal is to feel light and like we're floating. And so I think that's a really good sign that you felt that at the end of your session.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was so cool. I just kept thinking like, wow, am I floating? Am I floating? Am I floating? And it was like, I think the coolest part about all of it was like, everything was out of my control. I couldn't control anything. So I was just like, okay.
That was my favorite thing with getting zoned, because I was so exhausted from getting IVs and going to different doctors and then going to therapy and then all these things. And then when I'd get a zone, I would just like lay there and it's like, let me clean your lymphatic system. Let me clean your kidneys. Let me clean your liver. Let me help your heart. Let me help your thyroid. Let me help your brain. Let me help your eyes, your ears. And I'm like, thank you. Like I just lay there and I'm like, thank you. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah. It's so nice.
And yes, what you have to do is your care after. Like I tell you, drink water, take a magnesium bath, eat healthy.
Yeah.
You know, but like when you're there with me, that's what I went to school for. That's my job, to help you.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to feel pressure in that moment.
Wow. It's so cool. And even you said there was one point you're like, have you been eating a lot? And I was like, no. And you're like, I can tell. I was like, what?
Yeah. So when people come to me and they aren't eating a lot, their feet feel kind of like hollow, but also then I feel like that's where energy comes in. Like I have to ask the spirit, is this like an eating disorder, or is this like loss of desire, loss of appetite? Cause if we're not like experiencing a lot of different sensations, it can affect, there's so many things that can affect our appetite.
Yeah.
And so I also didn't want you to feel, and I know you didn't, but like, oh, you have an eating disorder, Jenna,
Yeah.
because you don't.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not eating. It's like there can be many reasons why we haven't eaten, like getting busy or feeling sad or emotional. But yeah, you can tell how much food people are eating in their feet. I literally tell people, I'm like, I feel like the feet can tell you everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after today, I'm like, yes, I didn't believe that. Okay. Another thing that came up in the session was, I just want you to talk about like the guy from my mission kind of thing.
Yeah. So sometimes when I'm zoning people, and I really feel like God blessed me with a gift once I started zoning. That's actually why I continued zoning. How I told you the first day I was going to quit. So the first day when I started to work on people's feet, I feel like I started to kind of have like a hearing in my right ear where I was kind of like hearing like, this is going on with them. And it kind of sounds like my own voice. I don't know how to explain it, but I was like, and then I would say it out loud and that person's like, yes, that's exactly what's going on. And so I feel like and a lot of people feel this way that do energy work or different things. Once you agree to do it, sometimes you feel like you're blessed with a gift. It's like a key that unlocks a gift.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm zoning people, even though, and this isn't all zoners, like a lot of zoners are just, they say like, oh, should I not go to a zoner if they're not intuitive? Yes. I go to zoners all the time that have no idea anything about energy, but I still go for my health.
Yeah.
So just anyone out there wanting a zone, if they're not, say that they don't do energy or they're not intuitive, it's okay. Still go. You're going to have so many health benefits. I go all the time. Anyways, so I just feel like I've gotten a lot more intuitive from working on the feet. I also feel like there's a lot of symbolism of Christ and the feet. For me, working on people's feet is a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
And so it helps me with my spiritual gifts, right? But when I was working on you today, I just felt like, I almost feel like it's so sacred. You know, like I don't know how much I want to share because it's so sacred, but I feel like on your mission, you were such an amazing missionary. And I feel like you helped so many people. And I feel like right now in your life, like you're trying to overcome OCD. And I just felt like there was this man from your mission that came forward in your session and the energy was crazy. You could feel it. I could feel it. It was so beautiful. And I felt like he wanted to help you in your healing.
Yeah.
And you could feel it. And like, it gives me chills right now because it was so sacred and his spirit was so beautiful. And it was just so clear to me that he was there for you and one of your angels wanting to help you. And as you thought about it, I want you to say who you felt that it was.
Yeah. It was so crazy because I've never had an experience like this ever. And I wish that I just can't even deny it, you know, because it was so real. Like you said, so I was feeling something. Then you were like, it's someone here from your mission. I don't even remember what you said, but then there's this one man.
There's a man here from your mission.
Yeah. And it's so funny because there's this 70-year-old man from my mission that's obsessed with me and tells me to move to Argentina. Like every day he messages me and I was like,
is it him? I was like, no, it's not him.
And then as I was thinking about it more, there was this man, his bishop on my mission, and I absolutely loved him. And he was like the glue of the ward and of his family. He was so amazing. His name was Luis. And when I got home from my mission, like after a couple years, he was changing an AC unit and it fell on him and it killed him. And I started a GoFundMe here for him and sent money into his family. And like, they were so grateful. And I just like would always think about them, but I haven't thought about them in a while. And then you said that and then he came to my mind and I just like started sobbing. Like I couldn't stop crying after that.
And that was your spirit. I feel like when we get that feeling, it's our spirit giving us a witness. And your spirit knew it was him. Cause the first guy that came to your mind, you're like, is it?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's not him. And then you closed your eyes and you're like, oh my gosh, it's the bishop from my mission that passed away that I started a GoFundMe. And then that energy, I was like, yes, that's who it is. And for me, foot zoning has helped me with my spirituality so much because I've had experiences with people where I don't even know who they are. I've never met them in my life, and they come forward, and family members come forward. Sometimes I'm in tune and I can know people's names. Like today when you're like, what's his name? I'm like, I don't know. And sometimes people, I'll be like, so-and-so's here. And they're like, how do you know them? I'm like, I don't, but they're here. And it's just helped me so much in my belief of the other side.
Yeah.
Like I literally cannot deny, like you can't, like exactly you saying that, I can't deny experiences that I've had with people that have been so sacred, where I know the other side exists and I know we're so close to the veil, and it's so, our angels so want to help us, and we can reach out and ask for help. And that made me happy for you, because I feel like when we're struggling, like when I was really sick, like I feel like my grandpa came forward a few times to help me, and my grandma, and some different things. And I know who I can ask for help from.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so beautiful that you helped him and his family. And then at the most random time when you're probably not expecting it, he's saying, Jenna, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Anything you need.
Yeah. So like I've literally forgotten about them.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. And then you said that, but it just like felt so real. And then I just like had full body chills. It was so crazy. Like I literally felt like I was on drugs.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool. Cause like when a lot of people, you know, so many people are like, energy work's stupid.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you feel it, like when you actually experience it, you can't deny the feeling that you have.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I called Abby, my producer, right after, and I'm like, I have to tell you what just happened. Yeah. Because it was so crazy.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. And so now your recommendations for me were I'm deficient, which was so cool that you could tell like what I'm deficient in.
Well, first your adrenals really needed support because you've been off caffeine. And when you take caffeine, it goes to your adrenals, and then it releases cortisol, which gives you energy. And so now that you're off caffeine, you're so tired because your adrenals are actually trying to heal.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, let me sleep, let me rest. And so for you, I want to get you on an adrenal support. So now that you're not damaging your adrenals with caffeine, let's give them herbs and support and help your adrenals actually heal. And then for you, because you deal with anxiety and you're very open about that, I just know from everything I've studied, I know that people that have anxiety need magnesium. I also know that 80% of the population is magnesium deficient. Cause like I was telling you, our water is like either tap water or filtered water, and it doesn't have minerals in it. Just like our soil is missing the minerals that would go into our vegetables and our fruit. And so I'm such a huge believer of minerals. And in foot zoning school, anybody that has IBS, it's usually linked to mineral deficiency. So, and same with brain fog, mineral deficiency. So for you, I want to get you on minerals. I want to get you on something for your adrenals. I want to get you on something for magnesium for your anxiety, because your liver had so much stagnation in it. I love nettle leaf for the liver. It's an herbal tea, but also you're really good at doing lemon water in the morning. I think lemon or lime water in the morning is huge for the liver. And then you have leaky gut. You could fill the little holes in your intestinal lining where I was showing you, and it's painful. And so I want to help you reseal your gut lining and get you on a liquid supplement for that. That's helped me when I had leaky gut. And actually it got rid of my cystic acne, because when you have leaky gut, everything tries to come through your skin or different ways because you're not absorbing properly. And absorption is just so important.
That's what I've like felt that for sure. Like I feel like I'm putting so many things into my body, but I just don't feel like it's really doing much.
Exactly.
Like
And that's why absorption is so important, because what if you're drinking like the celery juice and the cucumber juice and like all the healthy things, but you're not absorbing it? We got to get you to be able to absorb your nutrients fully. And a lot of people don't absorb their nutrients because they have gut issues. And then I was telling you the gut and the brain are one. So as healthy as your gut is as healthy as your brain is. So like you brought up my sister. So when my sister went to Mexico for her OCD, they just were like, my sister's always had gut issues since she was a little girl, just like you. Her gut would bother her so bad, and she would sit in the bathroom and cry before school every day and like all of these things. And they're like, we've got to heal your gut to heal your brain. And they were just like so adamant about that. And I feel like anyone with brain issues really needs to pay attention to their gut health, instead of just thinking, I'm crazy, I'm mental, it's my childhood. Maybe, but honey, maybe you have holes in your gut.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's so important.
Yeah, it really is. So Yeah.
Okay. And I want you to talk a little bit more about your women's group. And are you open to more Foot Zone clients right now?
So Foot Zone clients, it's always like, I wasn't for a long time. I was like, my schedule's full, and now I just send out a link. So if you DM me, it's usually like I send it out for 24 hours and whoever gets on it, and then the rest just don't.
Okay.
So it is a possibility for new people now. It used to just be like, nope, I only have these amount of clients. Now I send it to those clients and whoever else. And whoever books.
Cool. Okay.
That's kind of how it works.
Okay. And I'll share like your Instagram and stuff. Yeah. Okay. So your women's group.
So my women's group, I just was like, I want to help people deprogram. I feel like we're so programmed in society and everything is just trying to program us. And so I just started like a 7-week group for the summer for fun called Divine Alignment, and Jenna joined because she's so cute and she's always committed to trying all this stuff, which I love about you. So, it's about deprogramming. When people ask what that is, I feel like we're programmed from our phones. Like we're taught how we're supposed to look and we compare ourselves and all of these things. And also we all know we spend way too much time on our phones. And so with my women's group, the first class, I had them listen to a podcast and by Mel Robbins on Before You Waste Time, Listen to This. And it was a doctor from Harvard, and just realizing like, okay, you girls are going to take this course. If you want to heal, we got to get off our damn phones. So it's a lot of getting off your phones. It's mirror work. It's inner child work, belief systems. So I brought in my therapist, Diane, also my best friend, Matt. He's a psychologist. He's also a Reiki master, and those are my 2 mentors for the program. So Diane does a lot of therapy stuff with the girls. As you know, she's doing belief systems and all of that. And so I also have the girls fast because we're taking in artificial sweeteners and all of this stuff. And I just feel like when everyone's trying to be the best version of them, in order to do that, we need to like fast. We need to get off of our phones. I have breath work there. I also have people come and do a tea ceremony and a presence ceremony and forgiveness. We do forgiveness, and we're going to the river this week. And last week I had a doctor come and talk to you guys. So I just feel like I'm choosing like my favorite things, but also trying to help you girls get deprogrammed. Cause in your feet, we were talking about the pineal gland. And the pineal gland has to do with your sleep and your intuition. It's also known as your third eye. But in healing work, a lot of people talk about the calcification of the pineal gland, which means if it gets calcified, you have a hard time with your intuition or your sleep. And I feel like all the chemicals in our food and the screen time and blue light on our phones and then the EMF on our phones, it's calcifying our pineal gland, which is our spirituality. And so my hope with my women's program is to help them get deprogrammed so they can see reality and make choices for themselves and get out of all of the crap we're breathing in the air and all the poisons from our food and the way that everyone tells us to look, and be able to just be who they really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it. And even we did the tea ceremony, and well, the lady didn't say tea. She just said, we're going to do plant medicine. And I was like,
like, holy crap.
I'm like, okay, yay.
Yeah.
And then she's like, it's tea. And I was like, okay. But it was so crazy because when I drank it, I like really felt something.
Yes.
Like it was crazy that just from like really just like some herbal tea, it was like so powerful.
I know. I thought it was interesting how she's like, sometimes with tea, you can have just as powerful of an experience as like doing ayahuasca. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. But I think the presence of what they're teaching and the way that they do the ceremonies really helps you tap in. And I felt the same way.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. I loved that class because we're never present. We're running from thing to thing to thing, thinking about the next thing. Then our phone tells us the next thing. Then we're looking at what other people are doing, and we're lacking presence, which is everything.
Yeah. And it's been so nice just knowing like Wednesday nights, I'm just going to go chill and like decompress and
do something for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's been hard. I'm like, like the first class, I did not want to show up.
Yeah.
Now I love it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't want to have to face my demons
and face reality and get a homework assignment and all of that. Cause we just want to stay numb and we want to stay on our phones and we want to stay doing the bad food. And it's hard. It's everywhere. It's really hard these days to be awake and make the harder choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love these groups because I feel like we're able to help people like really just connect back to themselves.
Exactly.
Which is so important because there's so much chaos and so much that we're doing every day. And so it's nice to just be still, especially like with women that are on the same page as you.
Yeah.
And like in our group, there's so many women that have like we all go through such different things.
Yes.
But like we all come together and we're able to like help each other.
I know. And we feel so different, but we're so much alike and we're struggling in similar ways. And it's so cool. Something I've loved about my women group is half of the girls are really LDS and half of them aren't. And something that's really important to me is to become one.
Yeah.
And have people work together. And I think it's been so beautiful to watch that in the women's group, that we're just coming together and meeting each other where we're at and learning from each other, instead of thinking like, well, she's not religious, so I don't trust what she says.
Yeah.
Or she's religious, so she's brainwashed, so I don't trust what she says. We're coming heart to heart, eye to eye, spirit to spirit, and we're learning and growing. And that's huge. And I think especially in Utah, we need that.
So I always ask everybody this question, but if there's one thing that you could have everybody in the world understand, what would it be?
You can heal. You can heal. You are created to heal. You can heal. Don't give up. Think of different pathways. If you've been on the mental for a while, try the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, whatever realm you feel called to. Believe that you can heal. If you get diagnosed with a disease, a disorder, whatever it is, believe that you can overcome it. People heal from stage 4 cancer. People heal from autoimmune. People heal from OCD. We can do it, and believe that you can, because we can. And I've done it through God and through being able to believe. And I know people can do it.
Yeah. Okay. That's so awesome. And it inspires me so much, because I really do believe that I can heal my OCD. I really, really, really believe it.
Good.
And I feel like God or the universe or whatever it is has like placed you in my life to help me really, really believe that and really heal through it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to have you on again, and we'll like chat about where I'm at in a while after we do another foot zone or something.
Yes.
So.
I love seeing you believe, because I don't think anyone's, and it's not me. I think you learned that in ayahuasca, but you have just been told for so long you're going to have OCD your whole life, until you had like this awakening in ayahuasca that you can heal.
Yeah.
Like, just like me, when I went to Mexico, I never knew I could heal. I was just told I was going to have this disease. Once you believe, is all of a sudden gives you the opportunity to heal. So you're already halfway there, Jenna, with the fact that you believe that you can heal. Yeah.
And I like something that you said, that you, something that you said reminded me of this, but I've been trying to say like, I experience OCD, not I have OCD.
Yeah. Because I'm experiencing these symptoms versus I am OCD.
Yeah.
I have OCD. It's in my body. That's what I would do with my Lyme. Like, I'm experiencing this instead of I have. Yeah. Because then we're recreating that through our words every single day.
Cool. I love that so much.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I always say amen at the end of my podcast. So amen.